Andrew Tate is actually gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Andrew Tate, like Adolf Hitler, is actually gay, and to make up for his extreme disgust with himself, he attacks anything viewed as feminine because he is actually gay. Just a conspiracy theory, because anyone who demeans and demoralizes women and acts like a top dog has got something they're trying to hide and or prove. The stock market is crashing because the billionaires who own the hedge funds want Dems to lose the election. Dems have threatened to make billionaires pay some income tax to support the economy that is making them even richer. Billionaires are throwing in with Trump because he gives tax breaks to the rich because it includes himself and his family. Destroying the price of stock hurts investors, so they will vote against the government that is in power. Ordinary people don't wake up one morning and decide to dump their stocks. It takes most investors days to meet with their advisors, and they don't invest in the wide range of small companies that are being hurt. Hedge funds, on the other hand, are owned by billionaires and handle investments for billionaires. They keep track of each other so they don't interfere with each other's manipulations, and they have computers that they can program to tank all the prices at the same time. Watch Ken Griffin of Citadel at 3422, where he says that they are controlling prices and he knows who is doing it.
Now, passive investing is actually rooted in the theory that markets are efficient, and that markets are efficient because of active managers setting the prices of securities. Firms like Citadel, firms like Fidelity, firms like Viking Global, Capital Research. We're all running large teams of people that are engaged in fundamental research, trying to drive the value of companies towards where we think they should be valued. And passive investing, in a sense, enjoys the market efficiency that we create in our work each and every day.
Billionaires are telling us that our enemies are other ordinary people. We actually all want the same thing, but it isn't what billionaires want. They are making us hate each other. They are the enemy. Dem voters and Republican voters want a fair tax system. They both want affordable healthcare and affordable housing. They both want background checks to keep guns out of the hands of career criminals. We are all the same. Rupert Murdoch, a billionaire, owns Fox, and they paid $787 million to Dominion for lying to their listeners about the election machines. Fun fact, back before Wall Street shit the bed in 2008, one estimate was that Goldman Sachs alone controlled 40% of the market. Remember when the banks went begging to Congress for a bailout? At first Congress said no, then the market plunged about 7% the next day. At the time, it was the biggest single day drop in history. Then Congress passed the bailout. It's a big club, and the people Congress represents ain't in it. Is all insurance one big scam? Oil prices have increased significantly over the past decades, as has insurance. Car prices and car insurance, homes and home insurance, healthcare and health insurance. It's all just one big scam where powers at be are working together to increase the prices of everything on us little guys. Yes, source. I've worked in corporate health insurance and healthcare. It's all a scam to make money. They are businesses after all. What's totally effed up is that they take your premium payments and play the stock markets, making even more money off of providing you with a false sense of security. Speaking of security, they have whole teams of people that calculate the odds of having to pay out claims and find every way to avoid it. Source. I've worked in the industry for a while now. Insurance specifically works to profit by denying care. I'm fairly certain they have quotas to work to find reasons why they shouldn't cover it. There's a fairly involved test requested by our doctor for one of our kids. They denied it on the logic that a simpler, less expensive test should be done at first, and then the pricier test should be done if necessary. So we requested pre-approval for the simpler test. Got denied because it was quote-unquote decided it was not medically necessary, according to their team of medical review MDs. What actually happened during COVID-19? It should be called the anger pandemic. Am I the only one who's noticed how angry people have become? I mean, it's crazy to me how no one else seems to notice how normalized anger has become in our society. You look at 2018 compared to now, and people did not tolerate the kind of behavior they do now. It's like the anger has turned into hatred and violence. Am I the only one who sees it? There is a direct correlation that links back to the pandemic. So what the happened during COVID that turned us all into monsters? People forgot how to drive too. They developed insane insane anger, as you said, and also a distinct lack of consideration for other people, to the point that if they wrong you, they have the nerve to get angry if you get upset about it. It's like the real world became more like an internet comment section, minus the anonymity. I think people are angry because they are all poor. Everything is absurdly expensive, tired, overworked, and lonely. Also, everyone is constantly ostracized and told their way of life is bad no matter what they believe in. I truly believe people's cognitive functions deteriorated post-pandemic. People are just angry, restless, and impatient with everyone. It is all too apparent in the service industry as well, which I am currently in. I think it's watching the world we know go to shit, making us deeply sad and angry. We don't know what side is even a side. Can't trust the news or any political side. We learn that certain friends, family, or neighbors will drop you like a hat if you don't agree with their views. The cost of literally anything is through the roof, stifling half the population. Our leaders don't lead. We are seeing people's dreams get shattered, and we have no idea how to fix anything that is now clearly very broken. Modern capitalism is what is crushing us all, with stagnant wages and rising costs. Of course, the ultra-wealthy control the media and direct our anger away from themselves. Yes, and the pandemic showed no one cares if you die as long as you were working. This is exactly what's happening. It's astonishing to me how people can't see that. The real fight is not right versus left or black versus white. It's all of us against the ultra-wealthy elites that use us as their personal workforce. You are in your own timeline. I have a theory on consciousness. You have your own timeline. You own the timeline. Everyone else in your timeline are like NPCs. They think that they are in their timeline, but in actuality, they are in your timeline. You are all alone. Everyone lives in their own timeline. It's their story to make. In your own timeline, you will live till very old and die, and that's where your timeline stops. However, before that, you'll not die in your timeline. There are many branches of your timeline. There are branches where you are no longer here, but that's not your timeline. That's someone else's main timeline. If someone dies in your timeline, they'll still be alive in their timeline. You cannot die in your timeline no matter what. Dreams are you peeking into someone else's timeline, but in your perspective. Every decision you make, you create a new timeline. All of you reading this are now in my timeline. In your timeline, this post might not even exist. Everyone has a happy ending in their own way. I love it. Every single comment in here, the consciousness and timeline thing is extremely intriguing to me. I don't think a timeline is quite the exact word for what you are trying to say. Timelines are objective consensus realities. I suspect all consciousness within each timeline works together to form a matrix of vectors that form the consensus reality. That said, if there are multiple or even infinite timelines, every consciousness doesn't exist in all of them. If they are infinite, then a version of you exists in an infinite number of them that you may have some kind of metaphysical connection to, which you might be able to use to navigate between them. But the realities themselves don't belong to any single consciousness, unless it's a specific type of alternate dimension, or that's specifically how it works there. If there are infinite alternate realities, they probably function in infinitely different ways. I believe Kris Jenner is involved in human trafficking, and her clients are mostly high-end powerful people, and that's why she's able to get her daughter Kim so many gigs with high-end fashion brands despite her having horrible taste in fashion, and most famous people, particularly those with class, despising them. They're not really well liked at all by famous people. She does what Epstein did, blackmail powerful people for money and ways into their social circle. How else would Kris be able to pull these things out of her ass? I've yet to meet a single person who has bought any of their products. I'm not saying no one has, but for them to be worth the amounts they're worth, I feel I would know at least one person. Didn't it come out that in the Diddy raid, there was a bunch of videos of Kim and them blackmailing people? Yep, plus they are probably laundering money through a church with Lou Taylor, aka Britney Spears' conservatorship supervillain, who also partners with P. Diddy since the 90s. This is a brilliant theory. I'm an elder millennial and cannot comprehend how they have stayed relevant this long with so many other people becoming famous, either from TikTok or YouTube, and trends changing so quickly. I just want that vapid family to fade into obscurity, but they're hanging on for dear life. I remember hearing rumors way back in the day that Chris groomed Kim into becoming a sort of high-end escort to the rich and famous in LA. I wouldn't be surprised if this were true, considering the nature of Kim's rise to fame and the fact that all these Z-listers, Playboy models, and those starting out escorts on the side. I also remember Kim doing the whole Dubai circuit. LOL, there's a deep, dark rabbit hole regarding the sex industry in Dubai. Definitely makes for some interesting research. If there's anyone likely to be involved in human trafficking, it would be the Kardashians. They have zero talent. She also leaked Kim's sex video with Ray J to make her go viral. Back then, Kim was Paris Hilton's assistant/friend. Kris Jenner is a piece of crap mom. Ray J is Brandy's brother. She was a popular R&B singer and made a sitcom called Moesha in the 90s. Elon Musk is a Russian agent. Think about it. February 24th, 2022. Putin invades Ukraine. Invasion goes badly and there's a stalemate. We know Putin and Elon have been in contact since early 2022, before the invasion. Less than 2 months later, April 14th, 2022, Elon offers to buy Twitter. I don't believe this is a coincidence. Putin realizes he can't win conventionally, so he has Elon buy Twitter to get Trump elected by turning it into a right-wing propaganda machine. Trump gets elected and hands Ukraine to Russia. Putin decided to play the long game once he realized he wasn't going to win. Does this make sense? Not to mention the fact he's using the Starlinks he gave to Ukraine to pass military intel to the Russian army. So-called elites pledge allegiance to money, not flags. Exactly, Saudis give him the money. Authoritarian oligarchs are sticking together. Musk, Putin, Bezos, Trump, and many others. They want to control all the levers of power on this earth. All the resources, all the necessities, food, housing, maintenance, transportation. This is happening quietly in the background. We are at a grave risk of corporate feudalism. Cross them and your access is cut off. It's billionaire fascists against everyone else. I only say no because Starlink, he offered and donated to the Ukrainian army, has been regarded by the Ukrainian military as one of the most important tools on the ground. At that, they would not be even a fraction as successful as they've been if it wasn't for Elon personally making the decision to get them a larger number of units to keep all large groups on the ground connected to the internet. For me, it is yes for the same reasons. Imagine you having control of all the data your enemy is using because they're using your internet. It's a gold mine. You can read all data you want. Weird TikTok account. Don't skip. Scrolling on TikTok today and came across a video with no likes. As I'm watching, I realized the video is for real off. It's a rack of phones, and all of them look to be similar in type, but they are all on different apps and seem to be actively scrolling and typing and other things like gaming all by themselves. I then look at the caption and it says Lily James Hepatitis A. I click on the page and the whole account is like this, but with different odd captions saying things like Cuphead Spectrum Internet Hymen, Stages of Grief, Jedi Fallen Order Possum, McDonald's Near Me, Michelle Williams, Pete Davidson, Prince Charles. Can someone please explain what this is? The captions reminded me of a lot of things people would Google search because of the odd jumbled words and the use of near me. All of the videos are sort of the same setting with no differences. The first one has a dark brown object that moves out of the camera's view at the beginning of the video. It's just a click farm. They are most likely using randomly generated keywords that were trending on TikTok to try and squeeze extra money out of views on the videos. Yep, interesting that a lot of people don't know that China has thousands of these bot farms, each with thousands of phones just like this, just tapping away at links, ads, posts, even commenting on YouTube vids, Facebook posts, etc. In fact, 60% of all internet activity comes from bots. Facebook used to have at least 80% bot engagement, making up for a large chunk of its revenue. Dawn Platinum dish soap is being sold to consumers with the end purpose of breaking up fatbergs and city sewer lines. Last weekend I went on a trip and put a few ounces of Dawn Platinum dish soap in a standard Ziploc baggie so I could wash some dishes in my room over the long weekend. The soap disintegrated the Ziploc baggie, also disintegrated the plastic package of a Chomp's beef jerky package, and started to disintegrate the beef jerky within 4 days. This soap is so strong and often on sale, I can't help but wonder if the quiet goal is to pass the cost of sewer cleaning onto the consumer by selling us this very caustic soap and passing it off as standard dish soap. Be careful with it. Procter & Gamble owns the sewer lines in the city I live in? The next type of warfare is happening right in front of us. I have been hearing this with my friends' kids who are way less developed than they should be for their age as a result of COVID, thus costing us our youth with lower intelligence to further destroy our country, United States, and make them more ignorant/docile to be easily manipulated from the constant stimulation of phone technology/social media. This is in line with what the ex-KGB agent Yuri Bezmenov was saying, how they would target and destroy our country, testing our electrical grid and healthcare system 2 days ago, flooding our country with fentanyl, working with the Chinese and the cartels. Whomever this force, whether it's Russia or multiple countries, we are very low in education, high in drug use, high in mental health. This is the next level of modern warfare, influence through manipulation and a constant state of dopamine and serotonin and propaganda. Ozempic went viral because it suddenly got more cost-effective to cure fat people than it did to treat diabetes when the government capped the cost of insulin. Title: Don't care which politician you believed capped the cost of insulin. The reply reads, the drug was approved in 2017 for type 2 diabetes, which is basically a fat person disease. They noticed that a major side effect of the drug was weight loss from the loss of appetite, which ironically also helps with lessening symptoms of type 2 diabetes. This was quickly noticed by doctors, so they started prescribing it for off-label use for weight loss. At the same time, the drug companies moved quickly to make a weight loss version of the drug, Wegovy, to sell separately with different dosages, since they can now segment the market between diabetic insulin use and weight loss use. They can charge the weight loss crowd more. With regards to safety and side effects, we already know obesity is an extremely major health risk that ultimately will cause heart disease, diabetes, and stroke, etc. So many doctors and people feel the side effect risks are worth it. We are being indoctrinated into believing this is normal. How long before these things are freely amongst us, in large numbers, in public, scanning us, watching us, violating our personal space, our privacy, etc. Eventually, even flesh and blood will not be necessary for our security and safety. I understand Boston Dynamics has been working on these things for years now, and they have used them in public and military use. This is not new. But what's the point of stuff like this? Hundreds of millions of dollars, a decade of time and research to even make these things a possibility, and we are using them for literal, mindless, useless garbage. Imagine it's 2003 and you tell your coworkers, friends, or family that cell phones can track you, steal your personal info, spy on you, etc., and they laugh at you and scoff at you, label you as crazy. This will be no different.